Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chapter 12 overview, the last hurrah of classical science. Some of the key terms and people here are contractionism, Alfred Wegener, as it's pronounced in Austrian or German, and plate tectonics. I'd like you to read from pages 442 to 465. Focus on those 24, 23 pages. The scientists and ideas, as we said, are contractionism, Wegener, Holmes, Hess, and Bullard. Contractionism is probably an idea that you haven't heard of, but in the 19th and early 20th century, geologists had no way of knowing that the Earth's inner core is radioactive and could be a continuing source of heat that would cause the movement of the plates of the Earth. So what they thought, a lot of them thought, the wrinkling of the Earth as it cooled, created mountains on the land and in the sea. They just thought the Earth was slowly cooling down. Another idea that some 19th century scientists had was something called permanentism, that the continents had always and only been continent, and that ocean floor had always and only been ocean floor. Now, why was that so different than what we believe today? Well, today we know that some continents or parts of the continents were on the bottom of the ocean and lifted up by plate tectonics and seafloor spreading and the creation of new land. So those are two terms to keep an eye out for: contractionism and permanentism. A name that most of you are familiar with is Alfred Wegener. Now, Wegener was a trained meteorologist, so he did a lot of work in establishing the theory of plate tectonics on what was the mechanism that allowed the plates of our planet to move. But because he was a meteorologist, his theory wasn't really given a whole lot of credit in his lifetime. It was confirmed in the 60s and 70s, the 1960s and 70s, as you'll read about in the chapter. Some of the evidence that Wegener had, this is an image of fossils, both animal fossils and plant fossils. If you'll note the different colored regions, for example, that one fossil that hits where the west coast of South America and the east coast of Africa at one time were joined together, those are the only places that are colored in with that arrow. All of these fossils have common areas where they're found, and because they were connected at one time in Pangaea. So basically, Alfred Wegener's arguments were as the shape of the continent is complementary, what we just saw in the previous. Fossils, paleontological fossils, are separated today. The climate, traces of glaciers in various continents that today have very warm or different climate. For example, the South Pole, where it's very cold, has fern fossils, which need a very warm climate. Wegener's theory was not accepted, as we said, in the scientific community. Some evidence for Pangaea, the fact that the continents did fit together at one time, is the complementary shape of many of the continents, that similar rocks and landforms found in different continents, and the plant and animal fossils, as we observed. One idea that you may not be familiar with is that of geomagnetic reversal. And what that means is the magnetic North Pole and the magnetic South Pole, where they are today, is not always where they were in the past. Every few million years, they actually flip-flop, and that flip-flop is evidenced and frozen into the rock as seafloor spreads at the bottom of the ocean. Here's one image which will help you with that. And here's another one. If you take a look specifically in the yellow area where the arrows are coming up, and note 4 million years ago, 3 million years ago, 2 million years ago, scientists have a record of that magnetic north and magnetic south frozen into the rocks and changing over time. So that's really a key piece of evidence. Here's another nice image I like of seafloor spreading, how the basaltic plate, basalt is a type of rock that the ocean plates are made of, can be melted and reformed into mountains or new ocean floor. Okay, so just a couple course notes. Please continue to contribute your research to our Google Plus community. This is important. A lot of people have posted some nice resources up there. That's really helpful. And in addition to reading the chapter sections of our text, please start to prepare and plan for paper number 2. Please consult our Blackboard site for a full description of the paper. I'm also going to probably announce next overview and in an email. I would like you to try and keep open in your calendar the first study day that we have this year, which I believe is Tuesday, December 8th. I would like you to keep 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. open. We're going to have we're going to have an optional meeting. I'd like as many of you to come to that meeting as possible. And we're going to have a little seminar on antique scientific instruments and books. So hopefully you'll take a little bit of time out of your busy schedule and join us. But I'll have more details of that next week. Anyway, please continue reading, and I will talk to you next week.